Hello?
Hey, buddy, how are you?
Nice.
Can you hear us?
Oh.
All right, go and put him back on hold. This is the most predictable thing that has ever happened in the history of this show.
This is not the case.
Really well done, boys. Really well done.
Grab, can you confirm that he can hear us, or is this not a connection issue on our end, please?
It's just unbelievable.
These phones were checked beforehand.
I'm sure they were. I'm sure they were. So we'll just wait to see if he can figure it out on that end to make sure that we're okay. Is there something you find amusing there, Zohan?
No, I don't think. If you don't mind, I'm going to jump over there to double confirm, if you don't mind.
Should I try to bring him up again, or how should we do this? Seeing a lot of nothing. Whole lot of nothing. All right, am I try it again? Okay. All right, let me just see if this works. Opie, can you hear us? It's a big fat no, boys. We are wasting the gentleman's time.
Grab, why don't you come over here and I'll do that for you, if you don't mind.
Come on over. Maybe you should go in the other room and speak to him so he's not just sitting there on hold. Take your time, Drab. Just saunter slowly into that other room. Opie? Can you hear me, bud? No, he can't, Oscar. I know how to pick up a call. Yeah, okay. I do it all day. What is that?
That's Jeremy. Jeremy, you there?
Yeah.
Can you hear us?
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
And you can hear me?
Yes.
All right.
All right. What? Yeah, you pull B-Rock.
B-Rock.
Hey,
Hey, can you hear me?
can you hear me?
Yeah.
What happened?
Yeah, we didn't change a single thing.
We're a low-rent fucking bullshit podcast. That's what happened.
So did he even get through? Wi-Fi.
Oh, yeah, he was on.
Yeah,
he
he got
called.
through.
He called on time. He was right here. He did everything fine.
So how come I'm on the air and he's not?
Good question, brother.
All right. Let me get him one more time. Let me just call him. I'll see if I can get him on right now, all right?
All right, thanks, man.
All right.
Appreciate it. Yeah, that was strange. I went back to settings, and they're all the same. And they didn't change since Tuesday.
I thought I just heard that you guys checked the phones before the show.
Yeah, we checked it before the show.
I promise you, you just heard it. We have not touched anything.
Yeah.
I don't know what.
Then what?
It could be. The answer to that question is it's his phone. That is the answer to the question.
That's why I was so confused. I was like, how's this not working now?
Everybody can hear. I realize it sucks. It's embarrassing, but there's nothing we did that changed when Jeremy and E-Rock just called in. The line worked fine.
Yeah, I thought it was same deal. This will work out. Get him on the line. He can hear us. Maybe we got to project a little higher. And that's it.
It's not the volume of our voices. He couldn't hear us.
Get this to work out.
Says E-Rock's pulled over. He's calling him now. I wouldn't call back in if I was him.
He did think it was funny. I mean, he wasn't upset. I know it's not going to make you feel any better, but it's not like he was furious and saying thanks for wasting my time. He laughed and said, I can try to call back in a few minutes or we'll do it again next week. He says this should be a fun bit on the show. He wasn't like...
This isn't a fun bit.
No, fun bit as in he knows the hosts are going to go crazy and be upset at the producer or the technology or whatever's wrong. But I promise you can hear it. We didn't do any... This is the setup.
It was as predictable as the sun coming up tomorrow that this was going to fuck up. That's just what happens. That's just what always happens. Anytime there's anything important like this. You should just never plug anything that we're going to do because odds are it's going to fuck up.
We'll get through this. We would totally make this work. And it would have been really rough if the guys had called in and they called in afterwards and they didn't hear us. Then it would have been a big problem. But that wasn't the case.
I mean, I don't know how that makes it better. I mean, I don't know why you guys aren't more upset, to be honest with you.
We are upset and we feel terrible. But I think you can hear that it's not a local issue here.
Yeah, I'm upset, man. But
I mean, both of those guys that were calling in could get on, but that doesn't mean there wasn't something wrong. Doesn't mean there wasn't something that was changed. Right?
I promise you, nothing has been changed on that board.
Well, he was over there punching a bunch of buttons.
Yeah, but when you came back, when I made that change that I thought fixed something, it didn't fix anything, so I set it right back to where it was beforehand.
Did we get a number for him or anything like that?
I did not. I told him I would text E-Rock to have him call back in. At that point, I didn't feel comfortable asking for his phone number.
And we'll get this done here in just a few minutes.
How much bullshit did we have before that?
Time-wise? 35 minutes?
If he doesn't come on, we'll just cut all this shit out and we'll just do the
Yeah. That will work. You want
Or
to...
leave it in.
No, do you want
This is embarrassing.
It
enough.
is
We might as well
embarrassing.
leave it in.
Do you want to take a moment and just do your spot so we can get that out of the way? Instead of just sitting here. Fill that time.
I'm trying to figure this out with E-Rock.
Okay,
I can do
go
it at
ahead.
the end of the show.
All right, that's fine.
He's asking me if Opie's on.
Not on. He didn't call back in.
He told him to call back in, so he's waiting to see if he's going to call back
Why
in.
don't you go back there and make sure that nothing else goes wrong, and then you come back around when we're pulling him up and make sure he's good. You got it? All right. This will work out as it should.
Down home. All right, ready? Opie?
What's up?
Yes!
There he is. Hey, buddy.
What are you guys doing?
I was just, I'm not even kidding. I was about to set fire to this whole motherfucking place and rip everything out of the... I just couldn't believe the phone wasn't working. We're sorry about that.
It's, don't even worry. The only reason I called back is because I'm avoiding my kids who are beating me up with balloons. So
You've had I recall some very interesting radio that you put out there into the nether based on phones not working too. So it was very ironic that this was happening.
I don't beat up phones anymore. I used to rip phones out of the wall. I used to throw them and break them and smash them. They used to get so mad at me.
Yeah.
But
it was fun to listen to, though. Well, Opie Radio, 3 to 6 p.m. on Sirius XM. You can
applause.
check them out there, and Opie Radio on Twitter. What's it like sleeping in, man? When's the last time you slept in on a regular basis?
It's pretty cool. Did you guys ever do mornings? I don't really know what shifts you guys have done over the years.
We've filled in on mornings, but we did primarily evenings and middays and afternoons. We've never really had a long run in mornings other than, like, interning and filling in and crap like that.
Oh, okay. I did it for 12 years, and I've been with my wife for 12 years, and I looked at her, and I said, I don't think you really know me tired. Because you go through life just always tired.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the worst.
So it's good to sleep in. I'm hearing a little echo. That's why it might sound a little strange when they talk. I feel like I'm in the middle of the baseball field trying to do an announcement and give T-shirts away.
You sound good on the show. I apologize if it doesn't sound good on your end. Yeah, man, so a lot has happened. I don't know how familiar you are with us. There's no reason why you should be. We've been fans forever. We sent an intern up to try to get the golden ticket back when you guys were first on XM, and he sat outside the studio for 5 hours, and you didn't have time for him, and he came back, and he was very upset. But we kind of knew the way that it went, but it's been that long, and it's very cool to have you on the show. You actually you did some radio with us for the Traveling Virus when you guys came through Washington, D.C. for that crazy show with Carlos Mencia.
I absolutely remember that time. I also remember the guys waiting outside the studio. That was you guys, huh?
Yeah, that was us.
We were the creeps.
Whatever. You know what was sad? The golden ticket idea? I absolutely wanted to bring shows on because they promised me I could build a whole channel back when it was XM 12 years ago. And then I quickly found out that they weren't going to hire anybody. So that whole thing ended up being a scam.
Yeah, well, we were hoping it wasn't.
We were in a really bad spot radio-wise, and we're like, this is fortuitous. The fortune favors the bold. We're going to make this happen, and then it just kind of went away.
I felt like we were in over our heads, so we just made believe it was actually a possibility. The amount of shows that were contacting us to try to get on with us was unbelievable, but I didn't have the heart to tell anybody.
Yeah, it was a bummer for us. So there's been a bit of a shake-up there, and I've been listening to, I don't know, whatever they called it. They called it Guy Talk for a while for you guys, and Hot Talk and all that stuff. Yeah. And you've had, I get aroused listening to radio fights, and so just listening to your show for, I don't know, the past 15 years is spank material because you guys fought everybody, and then now it's so surreal to see where the shows are now. How surreal is it for you to be in the middle of all of it as someone that was a part of all of these shows? Oh,
it's exhausting. I used to get off on it myself, but then I had to look inside myself a little bit, so it's a pain in the ass, to be honest with you. But back in the day, it was awesome.
It was. I'm sorry, Oscar. I just had to ask him about this before we move on. The Don and Mike fight. Don and Mike were so big down here, and then you guys came in, and then that brawl with him calling your show and then you hanging up on him over and over and over again. I don't know if you know how much that's seared into so many radiophile subconscious down here. Did you ever officially bury the hatchet with those guys? I remember you saying on the air that there was no more animosity.
Well, first of all, I got Don to call up and announced the ratings for me and Anthony at the time.
Yeah.
And they were really good because he was calling to try to, beat us up. And I guess our ratings weren't as high as Don and Mike's, but we were still number one in the demo. So I asked him, what place are we in the demo? And as soon as he said number one, I said, thank you, and hung up on him. It drove him nuts. But moving forward, when Don lost his wife, I went on XM that day. Our fans were so excited. They wanted to just, really make it hurt. And I just made an announcement. I'm like, look, I'm officially done with that war. There's nothing I'm going to say or do from this point on, because that was such a brutal tragedy.
Yeah, it was, and I remember hearing that because we were fans, and we were also, on at the same station at the time of that Don and Mike were in Baltimore, the affiliates, and I thought that was one of the classiest moves I've ever heard a radio personality make.
What is it like? This is what I can't get past, is if somebody doesn't like a radio show, like, I get that. I even get someone bitching about it online, but wanting to celebrate something like that and then seeing some of the stuff that you have to go through online from people that are clearly listeners, I don't know that anybody has to go through what you go through, just from people that at one point were fans. What is it like trying to wade through that and just do a radio show?
Well, you got to understand where the people hang out, and you just avoid it. That's where I've gotten to in my career, because you just know people will just try to hurt you, your family. It's pretty creepy, to be honest with you.
It's really creepy.
Yeah, I can't imagine.
I mean, we've dealt with a little bit of it, but, we never had the prolonged success that you've had.
Well, I dealt with a little bit of it until the whole Anthony breakup. And then, unfortunately, they blamed me for everything. And it was a war I just couldn't, I couldn't win. I just had to suck it up. But there was so much to that situation, and people just chose to blame me for the entire thing, which was kind of ridiculous.
Also,
so the echo's a little weird. I just want to mention that again. But
we're low rent. We apologize. We're just we're so low rent. It sounds good, though. You sound really good.
You sound amazing.
All right, good.
What's it like to have sustained success, Opie? Can you tell us about that?
Such a suck-up.
Oh, my God. I swear to you, I never thought it would last this long. Now it's just have fun. I thought when me and Anthony got together, we would do a good 5 to 7 years maybe, because you guys know radio.
Yeah.
And there's never longevity with a partner. I mean, there's a few examples out there, obviously, and you guys have probably been together a while now yourselves.
Yeah.
But in general, man, these shows come and go all the time. So I feel pretty fortunate.
The part where you guys weren't getting along, I get. The part where you guys didn't like each other, I get. The one part where I always wanted to ask you is that, did you really feel like the shows weren't entertaining? Because I listened to Opie and Jimmy, and Jimmy says he hates it, but I enjoyed the show. I listen to it on a regular basis. I've enjoyed what you've been doing the past couple of days. I think that when you listen to a show, I know that I've personally, when I'm doing a radio show, I'm intensely critical of it, and I think that it sucks. And hearing you speak about the final, I don't know, it sounds like a couple of years of O&A, I kind of heard some of that, but you have way more experience than I do. Did you think you guys weren't doing good shows despite all the problems that were going on behind the scenes? Because I think a lot of your listeners were still very entertained.
I mean, I didn't think the quality was as high as it was in the past. We still had obviously a very good fan base. But the problem was me and Anthony's chemistry fell off somewhere along the way. And we wanted to talk about different things on the radio show, and we weren't really gelling as a team anymore. So Anthony would do his material, and then I would do my material, but that, going back and forth and really being on the same page kind of faded away, unfortunately. And that was sad. But with that said, yeah, I think they were still entertaining shows, and the fans were definitely still loving it in general.
You guys spoke on your show for the first time in a couple of years, and I mean, I hope you saw how excited everybody was. I was spam tweeting you, desperately trying to get a favorite, which is really embarrassing. But like,
I'm embarrassed by how good that made me feel, if that makes sense.
Well, you both, I mean, he's beaming out of his mind, and you did the side-by-side video of both the video, and it's, I don't know, just as a fan, since I heard you first time you guys did Worst Of on weekends here on WJFK, and I just remember being a big fan. That seeing you guys both happy to speak to one another was amazing. What did that mean to you? Like, what does that mean for your relationship?
We'll see. We've been texting back and forth here and there since that happened a couple of days ago. It was awesome. It probably should have happened sooner than it did, but I really do believe, and I hold to the fact that I think we needed a break at the time. It's just sad how it ended with Anthony getting the boot from the company, and I truly, believe he should have been fired, and I really did try to, stick up for him. He has a different story, and that's okay, but I know what I did. You guys know how it is with management. I brought it up with those guys, and they screamed at me. They were so pissed off. and I knew I was in a place that I wasn't going to get much done. Because what I said on the phone call with Anthony the other day, I said, even though me and you were sort of going bad and in different directions, the Opie and Anthony brand is just massive. And being a radio guy, I work at this stuff pretty much 24 hours a day. I knew that it would be stupid to completely break up the Opie and Anthony brand. So my thought was maybe we take a break from doing radio every day. You know, he does a show, I do a show, because we had our own channel. And then maybe we still continue to do something together. But I knew there was a separation that was absolutely happening before Anthony got fired. It just sucks that he got kicked out like he did, and it just wasn't fair to him. And then, of course, because I stayed, I got so much shit for it. But sorry, just to finish, I apologize. I also just didn't feel like if I walked out that we really had something to continue at that point. Anthony would tell you differently, and that's okay. But I saw the signs on the wall when he was starting to broadcast from his house and building a studio and all that, and that was definitely separate from what me and him were doing.
Well, I'll say this. We've talked about this many times in the program here, that the timing was unfortunate of how that happened and how that went down, at least from a fan's perspective here, you know, in D.C. And as far as, you know, injustice and fake outrage is concerned and social outrage, at that time, 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago.
That was the height of it.
Yeah, that was the height. That was the pinnacle, the peak. So no one could get away with anything.
Right.
And I think that the dynamics at that time and timing really led to that. Outside of that, the way that you continue to be honest and upfront with your listenership, really on both ends, you and Anthony, really on each one of your channels, that continues to itself. And I think that's a testament to the great radio that you guys have done in the past. And that's why I think Chad and I really were drawn to you, because even the conversation you had a couple days ago on your afternoon show, that was so raw and real. You just don't hear that anymore anywhere.
No, the chemistry is ridiculous between me and him. I mean, I hope people understand. We haven't talked in 2 years, 3 months. I'm nervous. I know I'm taking the phone call because we were sort of like throwing the idea around. And then when I picked it up, heard his voice, it was just instant, and we had the chemistry back in a second. I tweeted the other day, that's the exact thing that happened the first day I invited Anthony onto my show at WBAB at the time. He came in as pretty much a stranger, and he left like we were best friends. It was crazy, the chemistry we had right off the bat. And you just don't find that. I mean, I've been doing radio since I was 18 years old, and I've had chemistry with other people coming and going, but nothing like that.
It's channel 103 on XM, Sirius 206. You can check out Opie 3 to 6 on that station, at Opie Radio on Twitter. Oh, do you see it coming back? Do you see the, pardon the pun, the pendulum swinging back the other way for talk radio, the way that we like doing it, the way you guys certainly, you know, defined it? Because right now, what is it? It's politics, it's sports, and if you try to dip your toe in the water of anything mildly controversial, you're going to have a hashtag and you're going to have outragers out in front of the radio station. Do you ever think that we can retake some of this territory for people that are still drawn to this type of radio?
It seems like everything cycles back eventually, but we're a dying breed. People don't understand that it's a special skill set to build and do a radio show. You know, a lot of people are podcasting, which is, I mean, let's be honest, it's people trying to do radio shows.
Yep.
And, you know, they're not doing it like we do it. Simple as that.
I agree, and there's something different with when you guys are going through something, when you're bashing someone on the staff, or there's a controversy, and then you have 20 phone lines of people that are involved in that moment and understand what's going on. I mean, this is fun. We've got lots of listeners, but you don't have that. You're not in anyone's car with that live interaction that you guys had in the mornings and in the afternoons for all those years, and I think you need to have that.
Yeah, absolutely. When we first started at Sirius, no one had this damn service in their cars. So we were beyond frustrated because we knew that we were barely talking to anyone. And now finally you feel when you turn those mics on that you're in people's cars again.
Yeah, I bought the MiFi. I spent $500 on a MiFi. Just
all that. I remember me and Anthony were driving when we first started on XM. And we were count the antennas that had satellite radio, because back then it was very obvious which cars had it. It was just a big, fat, I don't know, it looked like a chode, basically.
It did.
It was short and fat. And we started counting, and we got excited. We got like 1, 2, 3, and we're like, all right, this isn't as bad. And then, honestly, we would drive another mile or two before we saw another one, and we're just like, oh, God, is this going to be an uphill battle?
Yeah. There was, do you remember the photo you took out in front of the XM sign before you guys actually had announced it? Like, that showed up on all the dirt sheets.
Yeah.
And Oscar and I had just met. I was working at HFS with the Junkies, and I was working at the UPS store part-time and trying to pay bills while trying to get into radio. And I remember seeing that picture and running out the back door of the store. And I didn't know where I was running, but I was just so excited that you guys were going to be back that I fanboyed out and marked out, and then I had to come back in and do all the next day airs, which was very humiliating. But it was such a big moment. And to kind of get in on satellite radio before it even worked. I mean, it didn't work when you guys were on.
No.
And to see that it's on everyone's phone now.
You might hear my kids screaming in the background. You hear that?
Yeah, it is a little bit.
If you can deal with echo, we can deal with anything.
You got the exclusive, because I keep my kids very private. I think that's the first time they've ever been on a show.
Wow.
So enjoy the screams. Well, what they did to us at XM as well, you had to have the service, and then you had to pay. God, E-Rock would know this. I think it was like an extra $2 or something.
$1.99.
Yep.
$1.99 for high voltage. Yeah.
Okay. So now you're really talking to almost nobody except for the hardcore fans of our show. No one's going to just stumble upon it because, we weren't known nationally, especially on the West Coast at that time. I mean, obviously we had some East Coast action from Boston all the way down to Washington, Cleveland, and Buffalo. But besides that, there were a lot of empty areas in the United States. People never heard of the Opie and Anthony show before. So we figured out at one point we were talking to maybe just a couple thousand people.
If you look, even if you and Ant still don't like each other, the idea that I had was you keep doing your show, he keeps doing his show. You don't worry about that. But you go to Cleveland, you go to D.C., you go to Philly, you go to, of course, New York. You just go to these markets where you guys were murdering.
Full theaters.
And just do a theater show and stand up there, and even if it's just a Q&A or you're just shticking it up. I mean, we sell out this pastry box down the street from us because we can bamboozle our audience into coming out. I mean, think about the millions of people that you could bamboozle into doing that. Does that sound like a good idea?
Well, I mean, the phone call was amazing, like I said, and I have been texting a little bit. We both agreed just to let that sit there for a little while and just kind of simmer, because we definitely have a lot to rewind. But I think I wouldn't be surprised if we do a little something in the future. We're on different paths career-wise and with our personal lives, but I think there's still enough in the middle that we could figure something out.
Did you ever get any resolution on when you were walking by Howard and saying hello every morning? Did you ever get any official feedback from his camp about that?
All I know is I finally found out it is the truth that he had the hallway shut down so he wouldn't say hi to me in the morning.
Oh, no.
Which I find amazing.
That's crazy. You guys are a billionaire.
Yeah, he's pretty much a billionaire, and he's bothered by me walking past him in the hallway. And it would make Club Soda County so happy. We would pass him and Ronnie. And one day I was just like, I'm going to say hi to the guy. So I said, good morning. And as we walk by, Kenny starts laughing. I go, what's up, Kenny? He's like, he's so mad.
Man.
Because I said hi. And then people are like, well, it has to be the way you're saying hi to him. I'm like, no. Honestly, there's so many years that have passed that I don't give a crap about a lot of those things anymore. I was honestly just saying hi. And then next thing I know, the hallways are shut down. And I thought it was for somebody else, and I tried to get into the area, and a security guard literally stopped me. I'm like, you're kidding, right? And he's like, no, man, please don't be a bother. It'll be my job. So I'm like, all right, no worries, buddy.
Crap.
And then a couple people finally got to me and told me it was absolutely because I said hi to him in the hallway.
Did you bury the hatch? I remember you tweeting something like that you'd. What about Corolla? I mean, I remember you had the problem when you went out there with Eatman and you said he snubbed you.
Big timed you.
Did you ever bury the hatchet with him? I feel like you'd be a good guest on that show and vice versa.
Yeah, we had him on a couple times, and we sort of went over that.
Good.
For the people that don't know, I was out in L.A. with no job, and I had the same agent as Corolla and Dr. Drew, so we went over to check out their Roadline show, and they went to break, and Dr. Drew could have been nicer, and Corolla was like, what are you doing here? And then just walked out and had a cigarette, and then came walking back, ignored me, and went into the studio, and I probably shouldn't have taken it personally, but I did.
Well, from what I recall, it was a bit of a tumultuous patch in your life.
Great radio.
Oh yeah, I didn't have a job, and my chick breaks up with me 5 weeks after I lost my career. I'm like, oh, this is great. Oh. But I don't know. We buried the hatchet, I guess, is what I'm trying to say.
Do you, now that you have the beach house, so do you plan on making it down to the Outer Banks? We have a mutual friend in Sam Walker that I know helps you out when you go down there. And
love Sam Walker.
Yeah, he's the best, and I love that area so much. I was actually real ginned up when I figured out like you were vacationing down there, because it's kind of like a hidden treasure. I imagine you're not going to make it down there with the new beach house.
Well, I'm actually going to try to go back down next summer. I love the Outer Banks. That's where I got engaged. We have a lot of memories down there. But the problem is the last 2 times I went, we got knocked out by hurricanes.
Yeah. They love hurricanes.
So we're a little gun shy at this point.
I got it. Hey, do you need a co-host? I like these 2 guys, but I'll leave them right now.
Well, come on up. We'll see what you got, buddy.
I would love
I love to tell people I could do radio with anyone. I kind of like that. And right now, I'm pretty pumped because every day it's different people in that studio.
It is cool.
Just get a lot of variety out of people. It keeps it interesting all the time.
I like how you're able to you can dip your toe in the vitriol and still mix it up or whatever it needs to, but then it's just like funny guys sitting around talking about stuff as well. Like it's a very strange kind of mixing of the 2 worlds you have going on right now.
Well, the one thing only you guys, well, a few guys would understand this. I think the one thing I got away from in the last few years was focusing on too much on comics every day,
right?
And not regular people and those quirky people. And going to the phones, that type of thing. So I'm looking forward to bringing some of those other elements into the radio show. Still use the comics because I've become very good friends with a lot of these guys. But I don't want to depend on them as much as we did in the last few years.
You know that when you and Ant were finally talking, that all of us in the listening, I love Voss to death. He's been on my show. He's been on the Junkies with Drab. But we wanted to strangle him and Mercurio and be like, just shut the F up and let these 2 guys talk.
Yes, and then I try to give Mercurio a chance. I'm like, are you kidding? Do you understand what's going on in front of your face right now? And, a comic, I'm sure you guys know plenty, they just have no self-awareness.
No, he started...
I'm like, why are you making this about yourself right now? Do you understand me and Ed haven't talked in almost 2.5 years, and you're babbling about some kind of dumb thing I did to you in the past?
No, he was insufferable. He starts flaming you, and I'm like, look, if Opie wants to yell at Anthony or Anthony wants to yell at Opie, that's cool.
That's okay.
You shut up. Nobody on earth wants to hear from you right now.
Me and Anthony know each other very well. I would guarantee he kind of liked the fact that he had Mercurio there and I had Bob.
Yeah.
It was kind of almost like a buffer, like, all right, we could use these guys a little bit if it's getting a little too uncomfortable. But I think the next time we talk, it'll be, just me and him.
Yeah. We're close with E-Rock. I think you know that. That's why he was able to bamboozle you into coming on this show.
We're available for nights.
But he's a good egg, and it's. I mean, I don't know what your guys' relationship is like now. It seems like it's good, but it's very cool that through thick and thin, like he's kind of been the guy on your show after all of these years. That's a very cool thing considering how, I don't know, tumultuous this business is.
Oh, absolutely. I looked him in the face when I finally saw him because I was out of pocket for a few weeks. I really didn't know how this was going to play out. I looked at him. I said, E-Rock, new beginning. And I probably have said that to him 3 or 4 times. But he's rolling his eyes somewhere right now, I guarantee it.
It's probably one of them was after you gave out his cell phone number when he was...
That was a mistake, I swear to you. He doesn't even believe me to this day that was a mistake, and I felt horrible about it.
That's some of the best radio ever. Opie gives out his cell phone number, and then really you did seem upset, but it didn't matter because then it was just 3 days of whale noises. And I feel bad because I love Eric, but it makes me tear my ACL slapping my knee.
Yeah, he's always given me great radio. Unfortunately, sometimes at his expense, but you know how it is. You can't help yourself sometimes when you have something right in front of you like that.
He's a trooper.
I love the fact that I paid him in quarters.
Giant bricks of quarters. Well, he did try to pay $1,100 for a cell phone bill, for what I remember.
Yeah, he wasn't getting that, but I paid for, I think, most of his vacation, and he was giving me, bills for everything. I'm like, all right, let's relax. I feel bad, but I don't feel that bad. Let's get this done.
Exactly.
So I paid him in quarters.
This has been Beyond Cool. We'll let you get back to your family. It's at Opie Radio, and of course, I think everybody knows you can check out Opie's show in XM 103 Sirius 206 in the afternoons. Thanks so much for doing this, man. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, guys. And I appreciate you guys, being fans of everything you've done over the years. That's really cool.
It's been a long time that we've been murderous fanboys. Thank you so much. We appreciate it, Opie.
All right, guys. We'll do it again, all right?
Yeah, for sure. Anytime you like. You're always welcome.
All right, cool.
Thanks, bud.
Bye.
There he goes. That's Greg Opie Hughes. Well, that was cool. Didn't start off well. I'll tell you that much. But it ended up great.
Yes.
Ended up great. That is really, really great. And look, I know there's O&A fans that are mad at him. That guy, I mean, I don't even know if he remembers, but he's tried to, or been okay with us coming over there and doing stuff. And he said, I have a bunch of different sound files of him saying nice stuff about me personally and about this show. So there's not going to be any harsh words from us about any of those guys.
Remember when you told him you'd leave us?
Yeah, I meant that. Hey, E-Rock, you heard what he said. He said, come on up, let's see what you got. So you're getting a hot call. Old Eric Nagel's getting a hot call from Big Shooter.
As long as you continue doing the podcast.
I'll try to work you guys in. I mean, if I'm hosting Afternoon Drive...
We've got these new booms.
I like the booms. But if Ope needs someone to do Afternoon Drive, boys...
You got your nights open, man.
Kiss the bad part of my ass. All right, do we have time to do this?
Yeah, always time.